Hello and welcome to TouchPoint with Tayo, the show where everything matters. I'm your host Tayo Oweye. And on TouchPoint, we engage Africans' realities, we explore vital issues that concerns Africans in the diaspora and beyond. We educate minds, and definitely we address trendy issues. And today on TouchPoint, we are discussing the financial system as an immigrant. Tips for success. Have you ever imagined the problem, the challenges, the barriers that immigrants face when they move to the host countries? And we are discussing this in the month that we or the international um, organizations are called International Women's Day. And tomorrow is the Mother's Day. We are celebrating mothers and all women. And what do you have planned for your woman? What do you have planned for your mom? I hope you have something great in store for her. If you have not done anything, prepare something. Surprise that woman in your life. Surprise your wife. Surprise your fiancé. For those who are singles, give thanks to God for what He has done for you. God needs a surprise from you. Would you like to give Him something? Yes. But, we can't wait to share greetings with the women in our lives, the mothers in our life. And from us on TouchPoint, Utayo, we wish all mothers, women, including girls, happy Mother's Day to you all. And we're also talking about something that is so close to mother's heart, women's heart, girls' heart, to even everybody. We're talking about practical guide to banking, tax systems, investment, personal finance, entrepreneurship, retirement planning, your even financial rights, and all of it today. And we have a wonderful guest here with us today on Touchpoint with Tayo. But before I go on to introduce my guest, I also have my co-host here with me, and who is Iniolua. How
Hi,
are you today?
I'm okay.
Doing good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, are you ready for today?
Yes, I'm very ready.
I'm sure you have some financial questions ready. Hmm. Let's see. Let's see. I'm sure you're missing some of your co-hosts guys who are not here today.
Yeah,
You
we're
know.
missing them.
Okay, so we hope they'll be back next week. Uh,
Yes.
we have today a very special guest. But if I read that CV alone, oh my God, it's it's so amazing. But I'll just give a short version of her CV. And she's a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, a chartered accountant also in Nigeria. So she's a chartered accountant here in the UK and also a chartered accountant in Nigeria. And she's also a professional Scrum Masters PSM1, who is deeply passionate about personal development and continuous improvement. She has worked at AfriBank PLC in Nigeria, Corona Schools, Trust Council, MTN Nigeria, all in Nigeria. And she continued her education and career when she came to the UK. She worked at Standard Life Bank, UK Life and Pensions, and as a manager at the Royal Bank of Scotland, designed by Her Majesty's Treasury. She has also worked as an IT manager at Lloyds Banking Group. She is currently the senior partner of Elistair Accounting Services, where she has helped a client grow from an initial capital of a meager £270, wait for it, to an exceeding £1 million in turnover. I'm sure you want to listen to such person today. She has also co-founded a non-profit organization with Mrs. Ibokun Awoshika, the former First Bank of Nigeria chairperson, and that NGO is called Women in Management, Business and Public Services. She has shown commitment to seeing immigrant businesses remain on a positive side of tax laws and still flourish. The list goes on and on. Join me as I welcome Mrs. Funke Ogunjobi. How are you doing today, man?
Thank you so much, Dr. Tayo Uweye. This is really amazing and it's good to be here. And thank you first and foremost for the invite. And also, even me listening to you reading out my CV and all the stuff that I've done, I feel like, is that really me? It sounds so God. But I just thank God that thus far He has brought me. And yeah, so thank you so much. And great to have our co-host as well, Inyolua, on this webinar. And yeah, so just looking forward to what we're going to do on the call today, and I just hope that our listeners at the end of the day would gain a lot from this webinar, and that they will gain a lot of practicable, things, and also relatable things from this webinar. So yeah, so thank you again, and yeah, it's good to be here.
Thank you so much. You're welcome to TouchPoint to Tayo. So as we start off, I would hand over the co-host. I think he has some questions, a few questions to ask before I delve into the question for our guest today. Inelua, over to you.
Okay, so they're going to be posting some myths for us. I'm going to give you 5 questions and you're going to see whether you think it's a myth or not. So the
Okay.
first question is, women are not as good as making money as men. Women are not as good with money as men, sorry. So
Okay.
do you think it's a myth or not?
To me, it's a fiction. So that women are not as good with money as men. So it's something that people have to debunk. It's not what a lot of people say. There is more to that than just somebody coming to categorize and plague the women in a particular thing. So that women are not as good with money as men. No. If I have to go specific, in Nigeria, women often manage household finances. They run businesses and we make savvy financial decisions. A lot of us grown-ups now, we will see that even while we were growing up, our mothers were the core in terms of, our upkeep growing up. They were the ones responsible for the feeding. They were the ones responsible for the clothing. They were the ones responsible for the majority of household finances when we were growing up. So the men had so little to do. So when a woman marries, she takes on a lot of financial responsibilities that they are not even meant to look at, especially when they have kids, because the thing in the back of their mind is, I don't want my children to suffer. And so because of that, they go all out. Legal ways, clean ways in which they can get money. You will see a woman do all many jobs aside from a 9 to 5, just so that they can bring food to the table. It doesn't really matter whether the man leaves or not. They just wear that responsibility on their shoulders, that I am responsible for the feeding of my children. And for majority of them, then they were not even Christians. It was just something that was built in the culture, in the society. And I think a lot of men now left it as their responsibilities. So they were not really so bothered about, oh, what do we eat? How do we get the money to buy it? And all of that. So I have friends even now that can testify to this fact, that women are very, very good with money. In fact, I would say more than men. than men. So, and we have examples. I just want to go big this time. We have somebody called Folarin Shalakija. She's one of Africa's richest women. See, she built her wealth through smart investments in oil, fashion, and printing. She wasn't really well read, she only just did, she was a secretary. But the woman in her, made her to look into building an empire around her, and she was able to create, a lot, especially in the oil industry. So she left fashion, she left being a secretary. She tried fashion. Fashion actually worked, but she saw that she could do something much bigger, other than fashion. And she looked into the oil sector. Though there were a lot of battles that she fought, but she won. And so she was able to overcome all of that. And now she is a billionaire, running billions not running projects that are worth, billions. She's also a great philanthropist, giving money out to people and helping, the less privileged in the society, just so that they can be financially stable. So women are as good with money. Not that we are not. We are as good with money as men. So that myth is not a fact.
Probably much more than men.
So I'm just trying to curtail it because I'm not sure how far this video would go. I pray that it goes far because I know that some people will just come, but any man that would come, to tell us otherwise or to tell me otherwise, please, you have to make sure that you lay your points and your facts very well. And you have to look into your own family first. Your mom and dad, how was it with them? Who seemed to be the breadwinner of the family? Yes. So I'll just put a stop on that for now. Let's put a lead on that for now.
That was a great answer.
Thank you, my dear.
So the second question is, women don't need to worry about personal finances because their partners will handle it. Do you think it's a fiction, or a fact?
That will never be a fact. Not in this world. Not at all. So you see, there are a lot of things that has been misread or misunderstood about women. So are we talking about, sorry, can you say that again?
Okay. Women don't need to worry about personal finances because their partners will handle it.
Yeah. So I would say that was what a lot of people thought, or that was the life of the women way back. Way back. But in this time and generation that we are in, it is not so. That women don't need to worry about personal finances because their partners will do that. Because we have seen in relationships, for example, where men had actually failed in terms of living up to their financial responsibilities in the home. So, and there's an adage in Yoruba that says that a woman who is married, who has no means of livelihood, will be naked. So that woman will be naked. So, and it is so true. So true. So that is why you see that a lot of women, even before they get married, in universities nowadays, in Nigeria, you see somebody who is in year 1 already has side hustles that they are doing. It's that they are making air, they are cooking food, or they just find something to do, or they are buying clothes. They are buying clothes to resell, just for little profit. And it's not a matter of, okay, maybe she came from a poor family or what. No, it's just that women are now so intelligent, financially intelligent, that we believe that we cannot rely on our partners or our husbands alone to carry the financial burdens of the family. No. Even as a single person, you need money to live your life the way you want it. You don't want to be a burden onto anybody. You don't want your uncle to be the one buying you your clothes, your underwears, or you need money to eat. You know that you don't want that to happen. So that is why you see that even while you are in school, in fact, for some, it is really from their secondary schools. I have friends now who make hair, and they will tell me, oh, you remember when we were in boarding school, I will make hair for A, B, and C, and that was what they were doing. And now they've actually built like a small project out of that while they still go on about their 9 to 5. But do you know what? That is not the same with men. It's not even the same with boys. What do boys do in universities? What do boys do? They sit down all day, they talk about football, they talk about the country, things not working. They even talk about jackpine, how to leave the country and look for greener
Yeah.
pasture. They have forgotten that some of these things that we read about online or that we see on Instagram or TikTok, that they are artificial grass, not so much of green grass or
On
whatever.
the other
So
side.
Yeah.
where you are jackpine to, they have their own problems. But I have always known that, you see, being wealthy it knows no nationality, it knows no country. It is in you, it is inbuilt in you, it is who you are mentally. That wherever it is that you find yourself, you are able to recreate, what you did in the other country to earn you money in this country. So, and women, I think it's part of how we were brought up, because even from the home, we seem to be the one doing the cooking. You seem to be the one going to the shop, to the market, to the supermarket to buy stuff. So right from when you were a teenager, you already know how to handle money. You could go home and tell your mom, oh, I bought this much for 20 pounds. And they say, how? You start to tell your mom how you bargained. And your mom will say, the last time I sent your brother, he only came back home with 2 things.
Ma,
You know?
ma,
Yes, he only came back.
if I were asked, do you think most of the youths today would have that kind of mindset, most of them, to go to the store and buy things like that, eh, knowing very well some of the attitude of the youths and things that we have.
I think it's just a matter of time. If they are just one that won't bargain, oh, mommy has given me a list of 2 things, I just go to the market, I just buy it and then give her a change. It's just a matter of time, because by the time they get to uni and they start working, earning money, and you know that all you have in your bank account is 20 pounds, and you have to live on this 20 pounds for the next 2, 3, 5 days before you get your next salary or wage paid into your account. You will learn to manage it. When you go to the African store and they tell you this thing, you say, this tiny thing is 20 pounds? You will even be the one telling the shopkeeper, no, it's too expensive. You see, you don't have your mom and dad or your uncle telling you how to manage your 20 pounds. It came out naturally. And that is the lesson I had learned while still home with my mom, even as a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old girl. While the boys are not even going, or when they go, they couldn't just manage or probably think of, I should learn to maximize this money. Somebody cannot just call me and say this thing is 20 pounds and I just give them 20 pounds. I should bargain. So we had learned that while we were growing up. So for a lot of the boys, they will have to learn that when they get to uni, or when they are not working, they now understand what it takes to get 20 pounds. The rigor, the stress, sometimes the abuse at work, to get money. So by the time you put all of that into calculation, you are wise in spending. Even if somebody comes around and say, give me 20 pounds, they will say, did you say give me? I should give you 20 pounds? No, and that was something they wouldn't think about before. So you see, everybody will get to a time in their life when they will have to learn how to manage money properly. So for the woman, it's always been our core value. It is how we were raised, So, and nobody is waiting at a later time to now say, now with all the learning I've got about money, personal finances at home, I will now wait on a man, before I start making decisions in the marriage, or that I will have to worry about me depending on my husband, or that I'll have to wait on my partner to tell me how to handle money. No, I bring all the experience, into the marriage. And it's always good for the men to listen, because if it's something you've not done while you were growing up, if it's nothing that you did while you were in school, and you now have a woman in your life that is teaching you, how to manage all of these things, it's good to listen. It's always good to listen, because at the end of the day, you see the difference in your pocket or in your bank account or in your investment at the end of the day. Because she's speaking from deep experience. You understand?
Yeah.
But the truth is, it takes a man, they have to make some mistakes, lose money in a big way, for them
Before
to now
they
come to
can
that
learn.
realization that, and my wife said it. Because by the time they lose money, the first time, second time, and the money is so small, they say, it was just luck that didn't play well. By the time they lose big time, they won't be able to tell the woman what happened to the money. They'll feel so ashamed. And the next time when the woman comes and say, okay, we've got this big project, we are going to do this money, we partition it this way, and that's how we go. She say, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever you say, we do.
We do.
That is it. Because they've done it wrongly, that is beating their hands. But they didn't come back to tell the woman what you said was just, it was just, golden. But now they've learned their lessons in a hard way. And so that is what the male child should be exposed to, not just playing games at home. Not just playing games, because we are building a culture that will transcend to a generation yet to come. And it's going to be more difficult for people in your generation now, in Yolua, when they grow up, because if we are not getting as much in our relationships, and we leave our male boy or our male children alone, and we are not teaching them all of these things, we will see that marriages, it will begin to impact marriages a lot, because they have no shoulders to carry any responsibility financially.
Yes.
And the woman would have a limit to what she can push through. So that is why I would say that that is a fiction, not a fact at all, that women don't need to worry about personal finances because their partners will undo. No, partners don't undo anything as such.
I think we have Joseph wanting to say something.
Okay.
Hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. Joseph.
Sir, I'm here, sir.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so
Thank you, sir.
okay.
So, thank you so much, ma. This is a very interesting conversation. Uh, I was just thinking that this sounds like financial feminism. This sounds like but I like feminism to some extent because at least they create for the they're advocating for quality, not necessarily superiority of the feminine gender. So it is good. I wanted to ask you, ma, that in this industry, I thank God we are in banking, accounting, and all. And coincidentally, my wife also is a banker. So it's I noticed that sometimes she comes back home and she's overwhelmed, and it's me that gets the ripple effect of, of the of the stress at work and all and all. So I want to ask, how have you been able to manage the demands, the exegesis of your career with
Yeah, so I think it all depends, really. So what can be stressful? We all know that. And if you now don't have a good manager and a good team, that also, is going to impact you in a way, and you transfer some of these worries to your immediate family. Sometimes you do that subconsciously. It's not like it's intentional, so it just happens, and you're just, and it's you, like people living with you, that would then begin to notice that, oh, there's something not going on well in this person's life. It's just you being able to understand that yourself, that okay, work is stressful, My team, is just a big burden on me. My manager, I mean, it's not something that I'm looking forward to, especially when I need to get ready for work, on a daily basis. But one thing I would normally do is when I'm going to work, as a faith woman, I pray. And I don't forget to do that. And while there, I pray as well. The Father, Lord, let just make everything go well. Just make everything go well. Because even the stress that is pushing on you is a lot. And you're not even thinking of the people at home. You're thinking about your own mental well-being. So you pray about that. And then you come to that realization as well that as you come home, the people at home, they have not wronged you in any way. They are not the reason why you are sad, coming home, and they are not the reason why things didn't go well in the office, or they are not the reason why you didn't get the accolade or the rewards or the announcements that you were meant to get at work. So you have to then disengage that as you switch off your car engine to calm down, because you know that by the time you open the door to come in, you have come to a totally different place, and these people are not responsible
They don't even know
of
anything
how you've
about
been feeling, getting to this point this day. Yes. So it's just that switch. Oh, hi, mommy, how are you? Oh, I'm okay. How was school? You just switch. Just switch from that time and just settle yourself at home. And just tell yourself whatever it is that happened at work, that was it. We will take it up tomorrow. So you only just got few hours to spend with the people at home, isn't it? It all depends on when you get to, maybe 7 o'clock before everybody goes to bed at maybe in 2 hours or 2.5 hours. You don't want to spoil that moment for them. Or else nobody will be coming to the door the moment they hear that you're around to come and say, hi, mommy, you know. So that is it. And another thing I do is I talk about the things that has happened to me at work with them. So taking away some of the stress and relieving myself so that they can even share their, kinds of advice here and there, tips and tricks. And I've got a full load of, even my last baby will tell me some things sometimes, and I'll just be like, this mouth of this boy it was borrowed by the Holy Spirit to speak to me. Yeah, because that wouldn't have been him normally. So it's just being able to switch at a point and tell yourself that that is it. And my husband sometimes would come home, and if I happen to be the one that opened the door for him, I would just be like, love, you're now in the house. Just trying to calm him from the door. You are now in the house. You will not say, yeah, 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 I'm not in the house. Because sometimes he would have told me how work had been going, during the day. So, and I know what that could mean if we do not address it as it comes in. And I don't want to be at the receiving end of what Mr. John did at the office, because I'm not Mr. John's person. So I just said, love, now you're in the house. So that changes a lot of things. So it's just you knowing how well to manage, what the issue is or the stress. And you just have to find your formula of how to calm, either yourself or your wife, so that you can talk her through, talk her out of that, and you don't get, into the same mood as her.
Okay. Let's take one more from one or two more from Ine of the fact and fiction, then we can go
Okay,
into
so the next one is women are less likely to get approved for loans and credits. Fact or fiction?
That sounds like a fact to me. Because historically, women are actually, we face bias, from my experience working in the bank, in accessing loans. But we have some smaller microfinance that would gladly accept women, especially market women. And the reason being that they have that regular source of income. So any money they pay, even if you ask them to be returning something on a daily basis, they'll be able to do that than doing on a monthly basis. So that I will take as a fact. And we have a lot of microfinance institutions, all over the place in Nigeria. And even the big banks, they are doing it as well. I think in one of the banks, I remember now, where they had an initiative where they created a kind of accessible loans to women in business. So as long as they're able to vet your documents, they know that you have a business that you run. They look at your financials, for example, they look at your cash outflow and inflow. They can place you on a particular loan, and they assign you a manager, from the office, from the bank, to keep checking, your cash flows, so that anytime they see any discrepancy, they can always report that to the bank. So, but I would say generally, women do face bias when it comes to accessing loans than men, because we know men are generally how do I say it now? They are the breadwinners, and they tend to have big industries, big businesses, compared to women. So if a man goes to the bank and you have a big business and you have some assets, it's easier for you to get money. But you say that women, most of the time, and the majority of women, we do small businesses, like having a salon, hairdressing salon, like having a canteen, like having a shop here doing this, or even selling in your living room. So if I go to the bank and say I sell hair products, for example, and they say, where do you sell? I sell in my room, and I need a loan of 100,000. They won't want to give it to me.
Yeah.
You understand? So, and most of the time, that is how we start. We start small, and before we know it, we're able to grow and diversify. So I would say that that is a fact when it comes to, women less likely to get approved for loans and credits.
But if we look at that in terms of UK and other African countries, because I mean
Yeah,
this podcast happens to be watched by other people in the UK and also other
yeah,
African countries, what would you say
yeah.
is the situation? Would you say that women have that systemic bias against them in terms of accessing loans and credit?
Yeah, I would say that I think it's a big deal in Africa more than it is, in the Western world. And the reason for that is because we haven't got a well-regulated platform where we access people based on credit in Africa. So we don't have that measure of what is your credit score. So it's not really a matter of, because it is what you say you do or how you do it when you go to the bank in Nigeria or in Africa that they will use to assess whether they can give you a loan or not. If I say I sell stuff at Yaba market, is a big market in Nigeria that I sell from my car. I park my car at a particular place and I sell. They may think like, but if I say I have a shop and this is my shop number, and I have this number of people working for me, so I'm an employee of labor, the way they will, even though if the person that is using their car boot to sell, they make more sales than the person that has a shop, they may not be considered because there's no platform to see if I borrow this person this amount of money, how quickly will they return the money and how well will they manage this loan or this credit. But in the Western world, we have a platform. So they don't look at how you look, what you sell, or how much you make. They go use your credit report to determine whether you are qualified to get a specific amount as a loan or not. So the bias is actually erased based on the system that is already set in the UK to see to assessing people for credit. So whether you're a man or a woman, as long as you fall into that threshold, that category, is 10,000 that they will give each person. But once your rating is higher, they see that you are so responsible. That's the word, because the bank is always like, they always give money, especially loans, to responsible people. So they will look at your credit file and see that, okay, you have, that responsibility in the past of repaying loans on time. So they will definitely, consider you for whatever it is that you're asking them for. So it's just a platform in which we access people that will determine whether we can actually say there's a bias, towards women or not.
So let's take this last one before we go for break. We're just still scratching the surface of the issue of finance, and we're still celebrating mothers. And let's just take Lua's last fact or fictions.
Okay. Last one is investing is less risky for women. Fact or fiction?
It's less risky for women. I would say that is a fiction, because women are more cautious when it comes to investing. We don't just jump at it. So women tend to research more before we invest. For example, before I'll put my money onto any sort of investment, it doesn't matter the noise that any celebrity is making about it, that any stockbroker is making about it.
Yeah.
All of those, I still like to do my own research, and I would say that, and that, I mean, the statistics are all out there, really. Especially, there was a time I was just looking at a few things online about who invests more. Is it the men or the women? And studies actually show that men invest more frequently than women, which I agree with. It says that 32% of men invest in stocks compared to 17% of women. So you have more men investing, and that men are more likely to take risks, and trade actively. So women will always like to calculate their risks. That is it. So women who earn higher returns, on the average, are very, very cautious before they reinvest that return onto something else. And I would say that a woman has a better strategy. For example, if you ask a woman, why are you investing? They'll be able to tell you, what they are using their money for. But a man will just casually just do it, sometimes because, I see this, I saw that, and I just want to put my money onto it.
Just to
Or
double
just,
my money.
Yeah.
because of the responsibilities that they have.
Yes.
Or I just heard in the news that HSBC, they're selling, their shares, and somebody said in the news as well, this time last year, those people who bought it, they are now having like maybe 100% gains, and oh, that's a good buy. A woman will say, I need to check. She may not actually check the proper way. She may just take the phone and call somebody. Have you heard of whatever, whatever? How does this sound like? Who and who are buying? They say, that is how she will now hear the truth. Or somebody bought it the other time, he did this to them. Say, and my husband was thinking about it too. I will just go and tell him. And even the husband will say, but we just heard it from the news. It's good. It's a good buy. So the man will go and buy, but the woman will still be looking for,
Information.
for information.
Yeah.
Yes. So we take our time and we don't rush into doing it at all. So I would say men invest more, but women invest smarter.
Yeah.
We invest smarter. And that's one strategy to beat impulsive trading. Because if you are not careful, at any noise, you just see yourself just bidding for what you're not meant to bid for.
Thank you so much. You see, viewers, we are onto something big, and we're just scratching the surface of our discussion for today. And we'll be going on a break right now. And when we're back, we'll be delving strictly into the issue of navigating the financial terrain as an immigrant. What are the tips for success? Have you actually gone down the failure route before? And now you want to know what tips you need to have. Stay tuned as we take a break. You're welcome back to TouchPoint with Tayo, the show where everything matters. And we're still on with our guests today, and we're on with um, Mrs. Funke Ogunjobi, and we're still talking about immigrants and navigating the financial system as an immigrant, the tips for success. And we went through some Mother's Days, women issues with finances earlier on by the co-host Ineolua. But now we actually want to go into the issue that we also have at hand. I would like to start with some statistics that says that 1 in every 10 women is living in extreme poverty. Just to lay some things before we go on to a general a point in terms of financial systems as an immigrant. But it says that if current trend continues in the next 5 years, which is 2030, an estimated 8% of the world's population, female population, which is about 342.4 million women and girls, which is quite on a low, underestimated uh, statistics, will be living below the poverty level. And the shocking part is that most of them will be coming from South Sub-Saharan Africa. What's your take on this?
I'm not sure the source of that analysis or let me say
It was from
yeah,
one of
so
these, one of
um
the World uh, Bank statistics.
right, okay. So, and sometimes some of the statistics we have to be cautious of, projecting them and seeing them as, the fact, because it's just a sample of people that they just look into their conditions, and then with some other, what do I say now? Some arithmetical kind of analysis. They just put all of these things together,
Arithmetical magic.
whatever, and they just put that out there. And sometimes that can be biased because they are trying to achieve something, or they are trying to win a kind of project to fund something. So if you don't put that analysis out and instigate fear in the minds of people, to do more or to buy into whatever it is that we're going to see on the back of that, we won't see the result that we are hoping to get. So I would say that the women that I see nowadays are more go-getters. They are more, women are becoming more independent. I would say that. Independent, not like, okay, they are not attached to anybody or anyone. Independent in the sense that we want to acquire a lot, you know, for ourselves and also for our families.
Yeah.
Because we have seen instances, and please let's just, you know, break it down the way it should be. We have seen instances where in a marriage, for example, the woman, like I was saying previously, I said, my husband, let's do A, B, and C for our future. It's good for us. Now that we have kids, we don't have to live like, you know, we have, you know, we can just be frugal.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, we can be prodigal with the things that we have, you know, and where the woman has placed all her eggs in the basket of the man, there have been a lot of grievous, you know, disappointment and pain.
Yes.
Because you see that sometimes the men cannot comprehend what the woman is seeing in the future. So I would say that most of the time, women are futuristic. You know, there's this thing that God has given us, it's called intuition. And I think sometimes the Holy Spirit mixes with it to show us tomorrow. But a man is logical in their thinking.
Yeah.
And I would say logical means seeing is believing. Meaning if I don't see it, I can't put my eggs into that basket. So because a lot of women had fallen prey, or they have been the one at the receiving end of such relationships, people like us are learning from them. And so you see that even while a man is alive, that I know that we can buy a property together and stop renting.
Yeah.
You probably will be given one or two things and say, no, we can't. But the woman, you know, we push and push and push until it becomes a reality.
Right.
Yes. So saying that women are now at a stage in this generation that if care is not taken in the next 30, 50 years, they will fall below
poverty level.
You know, that poverty line. I don't see that happening because I see women, I see African queens, you know, anywhere that we are pulling our weight. Like I was saying before, you see a woman starting a small business that is now an empire from a bedroom.
Yes.
How many men will take that lead? Because a lot of women will think that anything small today will be big tomorrow. So we give it everything. We give it everything. But a man will not think like, you see, when men come together, they think big.
Yeah. Yes.
They want to buy a dying business so that they can revive it and make millions.
Yes.
A woman will not think like that. You see, I can sell anything as long as it gives me £2 profit. You understand?
Yes.
And some people will be questioning it. Why are you selling it? That's a waste of time. See how long it takes you to go there before you spend and before you bring it, before you package it, before you send it. I'll say, oh, leave me with it. I will get better as time goes. That is why you see that in the open market in Africa, women are the most people that you see selling.
Yeah.
Yes. And in that market where they start selling something, they earn 50p or £1, you see that they are looking for other opportunities. By the time you sell something and you gain £1, you sell 1,000 units a day.
Yeah.
That's £1,000 a day, times 30. 30 days in a month.
Wow.
But if I sat back at home and I'm looking for something that will earn me £10 on a unit, that's as a profit.
Yes.
And you don't go out. Because how can you be telling your friends that the reason why you're going to work as a man is to sell something for £1? A woman will push that away.
Yes.
She'll push that away. So I see women coming out and becoming, I see women coming out and taking that position financially. I see women learning financial intelligence.
Mm.
You know, people are now paying, you know, to learn how to invest. I am in different platforms. There's one particular platform. There are 21,000 women there.
Mm.
This platform is just for women only.
Wow.
There are people all over most of the parts in Africa. And the person, the convener is a Nigerian who lives in Nigeria.
Mm.
Yes. And I see people that I know on that platform.
Wow. Wow.
And she's teaching them the rudimentary of saving. And this woman is she just like, I just need women.
Mm.
I just need women.
Wow.
And so she will analyze all of these things. And you see that women are doing it. And even we are now going to another level where we are now thinking of selling land,
Mm.
you know, and they are buying into it. So
Wow.
women are no longer where we used to be. We are now metamorphosizing into greater things. We are now building empires from £1. We are
Wow.
building empires from borrowing £500 from friends and family.
Mm.
Some of us, like we said before, because of the bias the bank has got towards us, so we now go to friends, family members to get money to start our businesses.
Yes.
And we are making it.
Mm. Yeah.
So I do not think that in the next 25, 30, whatever years, that the women in my generation, because we will still be alive, will now be living below poverty. No, we won't.
Mm. Mm. So in such group that you made mention, although we're still going to talk about some of the platforms and probably the ones in which you are, that's so that people who are actually also listening to this podcast can also find a way to join and via contacting you. But there is this list going on around on WhatsApp concerning, because we're in the UK. So it's one of the trendy issues that is going on around now in the UK about various nationals, especially Nigerians, whose properties remained unclaimed after their death, and because one thing, the lack of a written will. What do you think is going on here? What is the conversation? What is the issue at hand? What do you have to say about that?
That has been a generational problem. So it's not
Wow.
something that just started.
Mm. Wow.
You know, and only education can eradicate it or limit it to a reasonable extent. So the more exposed you are to some of these things, the better your life will become. That you don't have to wait till you get to a certain age. You don't have to wait till you have acquired a lot of assets or this number before you put a will in place.
Wow.
Yes, it is something that you start off immediately. You know, immediately you start earning money. Because even as a single person and you're working here, if you don't have a will and you are saving to buy a house and then death happens, your money won't go anywhere. The government will claim it.
Mm.
Yes. So
Wow.
you that you're still thinking, I'm young, and I'm 25, so by the time I'm 30, whatever, I'm going to buy my house. So let me start putting it somewhere. And it keeps in, and so you don't want your mother to know, you don't want your father to know, you don't want your siblings to know, and yet you are not married. Yes. Your auntie does not know, but they are suspecting that you're actually putting some money somewhere, but you didn't tell them. And then death happens. You understand? Nobody's going to know to even come up with claiming it.
Claiming it.
Yes. So if we have no idea, we won't know. So that stays there. And whatever it is that is the structure of the bank, depending in the country that the person died, they will claim it. And I'm so sure that if it is Nigeria, once they know, or somebody approaches them to say that, and we know somebody has got a bank account with you, but they are no longer there, I think they will just tell you, hold on. They first go and look at it and see how much has the person got. You know, so you may just be lucky that they may just be, a bunch of people that are really true to their word, and they just say, okay, and you can do it this way, you can do it that way. Did the person have a lawyer when they were still living? Did they have anything? Or they can help you devise other means by which you can claim the money.
Mm.
You understand? You know, in Nigeria, we can break protocols. Yes, because somebody's name, somebody's long standing or being a long whatever customer of the bank would mean that the branch manager may want to support the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they've got that good relationship, so they may just want to support them. But in this country, everything is law.
Yeah.
Yes. If you are just going there to claim this is who you are, they may have, some laws in relation to that to say, okay, this is how you go about it. Bring this verification, bring that document, how you relate to that person. It may take a long time, but eventually you may get something.
Mm.
You understand? So, and I'm not sure, maybe there's something that you have to pay to the government as well. I don't know. They will then bring in HMRC to see if the person is owing them, because the government will like to take theirs first.
Before.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so if there are no proper
Accounting.
will, the wording about, okay, this is the person's estate, and when they die, whatever they owe the government, this is how it should be managed.
Mm.
So the government will take theirs. So it is whatever that is left, if anything at all, that will not go to this person that has showed up as a relation of that person.
Person.
So the essence of this is everybody should manage, that aspect of their lives, so that you get somebody who can help you to look into your wealth, your money.
Yes.
And some of these things, you can even go online to look at it. You don't need to get a solicitor involved. Some of them are free. We have organizations, NGOs that are actually doing free will for people. They will just say that, for example, if it's a Christian charity, that you leave something for them in your will, when you pass on. So, but they are willing to give you the template, you fill it, what's that thing called, that the right of attorney or whatever,
Okay.
that you fill that one. And so you just put all of those together and you give it to them, so they would then know when something has happened, because the person that you have left their name in your will will be contacted, and they will now start dispersing the person's asset the way they have said, and take their own portion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good also to look after, your afterlife, and make sure that it's well taken care of.
Yes. A point you made earlier on about some people like to break protocols, and which will cause sometimes miracles. Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as a result of the prayer that you've prayed. Yes, yes, it's possible. It's possible that you just meet somebody that will tell you everything about what the deceased has got with them in the bank, and not want to play some fast ones on you to say they have no idea.
Yes.
Yes,
Does that
so
not also talks about establishing a right system in a country too?
yeah. So in terms of the Nigerian government, you mean?
Yes, I mean, Africa, maybe any other country that doesn't have such a
Yeah.
robust a law that guides something of that nature. We could hide under breaking protocols, miracles happening if the law
Yeah.
is not
So
there.
exactly, there will always be those loopholes, and the government will not be able to manage everything. That's the truth.
Mm,
But we have a responsibility for ourselves,
yeah,
your life now and your
yes.
life after.
After.
As a matter of fact, it's good for everybody to plan in their will how they would, their funeral.
Mm.
Yes. So we know that it can be costly here in the UK, and even back home in Nigeria.
Nigeria.
So if you're not going to bury the person in your compound, in the family's, compound, which most of the time people don't do nowadays, even to get a place to bury the person is a lot of money, and you don't want to put the burden on your children that are just, trying to find their own feet, financially,
Yes.
before you now start bothering the church, one uncle, one auntie, or people in the diaspora, like they normally say, oh, let's gather some people to, or the association of your secondary school or primary school friends,
Mhm.
So you maintain that, because it's reasonable for you to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's one of those things that I do tell people when I do my classes as well, and we talk about it, that even as you are saving for that, make sure you have your life insurance. Make sure you have your will put together, because I know people who had just missed their life insurance by 1 month.
Wow.
And the unimaginable, what it just happened.
Wow.
And they were not left at the mercy of friends, and it was really hectic, and they were able to go through it, but that is not what anybody would want. Anybody that is still living, that you would want to happen when you're no longer here. So you have to manage that aspect properly, so that you too, you can really, really rest peacefully.
Rest peacefully.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Because we know we're gonna have another session, another part to this financial system as an immigrant, the tips for success. Let's try in the few minutes that we have to look at understanding the UK banking system as an immigrant. I mean, there's so many people who struggle to open bank accounts, probably because the way bank accounts are being opened from our home countries are quite different from the ways that's been opened here, and quite a number of people are probably also afraid of the laws here and try to avoid credit, especially since most immigrants or early arrivals are from homes that promotes the saying that it is better to be a lender than to be to be a borrower. But which is unlike where we are from. So, what are the unique features that you will say is the UK banking system do have when we compare it to that of the immigrants' home countries, and how does this affect the use of the banking system by the immigrants? So yeah, I had to lump quite a number of things together.
yeah, I was thinking too. So just looking at the struggles of immigrants when they come into the United Kingdom, and just like you rightly said, borrowing is not part of our lifestyle in Nigeria, especially borrowing from the bank or getting a credit card, and at your beck and call, that you can just spend just as you like.
Yes.
One of the struggles is for new immigrants
Yes.
is that the UK, as it is, as we all know it, has one of the most advanced digital banking infrastructure that we don't have back home. So you have mobile and online banking that is so fast and quick, contactless payments, you can even, open a banking, whatever app that allow third party. PayPal it works like, so quick, and everything is so slick. And we have even fintechs, here we have Revolut for a lot of people who just came in that they can't go into the first generation banks to get their accounts opened. They just switch to Revolut, Monzo, and Starling. So those ones are really, doing the magic for them. And I would say that the struggle is there when you come into the UK newly. You get to learn about all of these things. In Nigeria, I remember when I was there sometime last year, and I was in a supermarket, and I bought a few things, and I got to the till, and I told them so when they calculated how much everything was, I didn't have enough cash, Naira on me. So I said, okay, let me do a transfer from my Nigerian bank account to their own money points that they gave me. They put it at the till on the store that if you're going to do money transfer, this is the account number you choose. So I put in the details, and the lady was just shaking the POS and whatever to see if the money has gone through. It didn't go through. So she just told me, Auntie, please just pack so that other customers can buy. So I was waiting. I waited 20 minutes. The thing has not gone through. She said, I've not received the alert. And I'm just like, but looking at my own bank account, it's left. Can I take my things and go? She said, no.
Wow.
So I waited there until she received the alert that she was hoping to. And that was when I was able to leave.
Wow.
It will never, I'd, even the year I got into this country, I didn't even experience that. That was decades ago.
Wow.
So to me, it was strange.
Mm.
And another time I went back to that same store because it was close to where I was, and I bought a few things, even though the girl already knew me. The same thing happened. She now said, Auntie, this one is not even going through at all. Though. So I said, I don't even know. But for the other person, it went through quickly. So I said, what should I do now? And I need those things. But she said, I will have to leave them and maybe come back. So I had to leave.
Wow.
I went back and I told my sister, I said, see, I left them in that shop. So please just go there and get it.
Take it up.
Yes. And the reason why I wasn't going about with cash was because to get clean notes, because I didn't like all those dirty notes. To get clean notes, it took them ages. They went to all these banks, to get how many thousands I wanted. And they paid maybe almost 30,000 naira to get the mint, according to them. So I just like, so if it's this costly to get this note, let me just be spending using my card, I mean, doing online payments. So that was why I wasn't carrying cash. So that is one struggle that we have when we move to the United Kingdom, the sleek infrastructure that we have, especially when it comes to, transferring of money, digital banking, the innovation in the UK is just massive. Then account opening and documentation is totally different. And in UK, most banks would allow online account opening.
Yeah.
That one is so quick. All you just need is your passport, your visa, or proof of address, utility bill, or maybe a rental agreement. Credit checks are just done routinely. So if you are an immigrant, you may face a delay. If you like, a UK credit history, depending on the bank.
Yes.
But for the majority of the banks, you can open a bank account with just your visa details and your proof of address and a few other documentations that they will ask. But you see, in Nigeria, to open an account, you need your BVN, national ID, sometimes a reference letter, proof of address, and for most of the time, you can't even do it online. Because you still have those paper things that you have to sign and fill. And the one I did recently, they were asking me to put my passport photo. I said, oh my God, I've not used a passport photo in a long time. Yes, I've not. Except when I have to renew my passport.
Yeah.
That's when, but just to fill a bank form, for what? What do they need it for? So that's another thing that we go through, as immigrants in the United Kingdom. And like I said earlier, another thing is the credit system and loans.
Yes.
So UK has a formalized credit scoring system. We have Experian, we have Equifax, and a few other ones. So when you want to apply for a loan, without a credit history, you may struggle as an immigrant. If you are looking at setting up a business or you want to buy a house, you might struggle even to get a phone contract, not SIM only, or excuse me, to get a proper phone contract nowadays. Some of them do ask, for a credit history.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And that is the frustration again that some of them are having. That is why some of them will just go and buy just a SIM, pay as you go SIM, and just be using that.
Yes.
So because in this country, you need to build your credit and it takes time, to build it.
Yes.
And if you are not careful, you can build it in a very wrong way.
So I want to, someone may be asking, what is credit score? What is credit history? How do I write history of credits that I have? How do I build this credit, especially for an immigrant to access banking and other financial services? What is the idea of credit score? What is the concept of credit score, and how can one build it?
So your credit score, especially in the UK or wherever it is in the world where it is a platform for credit, is your financial reputation, all in numbers, in digits. So there are algorithms that work behind the scenes that generate this number. So you must have had a credit footprint, with the financial bureaus in the country. And what that means is, if you don't have a credit score, nobody will trust you with any credit. So no score, no loans, no
Wow.
mortgage. Sometimes, excuse me, no SIM contract.
Wow.
In Africa, where we come from, if your bank manager knows you since 2005, they will give you a loan.
Yeah.
You can borrow money, based on, somebody is my uncle, somebody is this, and that,
More of
they'll give it to you.
qualitative, more of a subjective way of giving
Yes.
credit.
Yeah. So your credit score, for example, depending on the credit platform that you use for which one is this now? Experian, yes.
Sure.
They are based on 999. So the way every score, the highest you can have is 999. I don't know why they retain the one to make it 1,000. And they have, different angles to it. So you have the poor, the good, the fair, the good, the best, and whatever. So, and they are color coded so that you know.
Yeah.
So what that is telling you is, once you get a credit, so how do you get a credit score? How do you get a credit history? You must have attained a credit in any way. Maybe it was a phone contract that you got. You went to Vodafone, you took a phone contract, you're going to be paying them £20 a month. That is already a credit reputation that you are building from there. So you've already opened for yourself a credit file with the credit bureau. So, and the credit bureau, that is where all other banks, are linked to, so that when your name pop up, anytime that you want a loan from any of these other providers,
Yeah.
they go to the credit bureau, they take information from there,
Take your file out.
and they analyze that and see whether you are somebody that is good with somebody else's money or you mismanage somebody else's money.
Wow. Well, I've
Yes.
never heard this broken down before.
So they go there, they look at it. So you've already said, like when we say you've got a digital footprint.
Yes.
That one is your financial footprint. The moment you set to get a credit, even if it is Netflix that you are paying for on a monthly basis, you've already set one because you are using it in credit.
Correct.
Yes. So it goes there. And if you have a bank account that comes with an overdraft.
Yes.
Because I know some of my immigrants who will be watching this, they would see the bank just dash them an overdraft. And you just like, I can use it, I can use it. It comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. And some of them are quite expensive. Very, very expensive. Some of them charge like maybe £5 a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
£5
Depending
a day.
on whatever it is that you're out of balance by.
Wow.
So you have to watch it. Yes. Maybe you spend £500 out of one, they'll be charging you maybe £1 a day or whatever cent. By the time you calculate that at the end of the month, it's a lot. It's even cheaper for you to get a personal loan than use an overdraft. Yes. So once you start going into credit, you set your credit footprint.
Yeah.
And that is where people like Lloyd's, HSBC, TSB will now begin to look at when you request for money that is not yours. So when you open a bank account that your salary goes into, no, that is not credit. that is your own money that you're just telling the bank, help me keep it, because if I keep it in the house, I will blow it in one go.
Blow it. Yeah.
Yes. And that is what the bank is for primarily,
Mm.
before they now started adding credit to it.
Wow.
So you have to make sure that you understand all of this before you start taking credit all over the place. So let all immigrants be careful taking credit cards.
Yeah.
There's this myth out there that if you don't get a credit card, you may not be able to build a credit history. It is a myth. It is fiction. It is not a fact.
Wow.
I work in the bank and I know people who had never had a credit card and they were able to get mortgages. Yes, there are other ways in which you can build credit. You can build credit by even taking a personal loan, maybe something that you need so seriously, or even your car, the car that you pay the loan on a monthly basis. That's enough. That's enough. Even your phone bill, utility bill, as long as they are there, that's enough. All they just want to see is consistency. That when it was time for you to pay, you paid. You are not somebody that you could but fail to pay, and people are chasing after you, because also there, the money that you earn that is yours reflects somehow on your credit file.
Yeah.
So that is what they will compare credit with before they give you £200,000 as a loan. They will say how much is coming in.
Yeah.
What are its for other expenses? Let's take that away first. Then will you be able to pay this one on top of the other expenses it has? So it's the general overview. So that's why I would say that everybody should have access to theirs once they're able to do so, because it tells you everything about your life. For some of them, before you can see everything in totality, you'll have to subscribe. It's not just the free version.
Yes.
Yeah. For example, if you're going to buy a house,
Yes.
that is the time for you to subscribe. It will tell you all the money that come in and all the money that goes out. And then you're able to see why the bank has decided to give you 150,000 instead of 250,000. Because they too, they are responsible lenders. They don't want to give you more than you can chew, because you'll be a bad business for them.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
It's amazing what we have learned here today. Remember, she said credit card is a myth. So you may want to do away with credit cards and get yourself with personal loans. Consistency and responsibility is what the banks are looking for, because they also are looking to become responsible lenders, and responsible lenders want responsible borrowers so that you don't just take the money and just blow it up all at once. So this episode is not just going to end here. We are coming back, and we're coming back big and better, because there's quite a number of things for us to discuss as immigrants and the issues that surrounds the financial system, especially for those who are in the Western world, but compared to those who are also in Africa. Are you keeping watch on your responsibility as a finance person at home, at your workplace, in terms of your salary and every other thing? It is time for you to become financial responsible. And at that point, just for today, before we wrap up for this episode, this part of it, what will be your parting shots for today?
Um, it's a lot, really. I would just like to say that everybody has that personal responsibility to be financially responsible. Nobody's going to do it for you. And you also have you also have the responsibility to understand personal finance for yourself. You have the responsibility to know how to spend or manage what comes in. Whatever it is that it will cost you to get this knowledge, go get it. Because until you've mastered some of these key responsibilities, you would realize that you're always having money coming in. But when at the end of the day, you now begin to look at it, you don't know where your money is going. Your money has not gone anywhere. It's just the way you've spent it or where you've directed your money to. Because if you don't learn to manage what comes in, somebody else will manage it for you, and you will not like the way they will spend it. You will not like the way they will spend it. And the government of this country, they are so good at making sure that they tax everything out of whatever it is that you earn. So that's another thing I normally say when I go out for stuff like this, that the fear, the fear of the UK tax system is the beginning of creating wealth in the UK. The fear of the UK or the understanding of the UK tax system is the beginning of wisdom. Sorry, that's what I mean to say. That the understanding of the UK tax system is the beginning of financial wisdom. Yes, if you don't understand it, you will give them all your money.
Wow.
You will give them without you knowing.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And you see that your money is good on paper, is big on paper, but what comes into your pocket at the end of the day
It's
just peanuts.
Wow.
Yes. And even that peanuts, there are some other taxes waiting for it in the corner.
Wow.
If you're not careful. Yes. So
Thank
it is good for us to go out and take that responsibility on our shoulders, because at the end of the day, you'll have yourself to thank.
Yeah.
For doing that for yourself.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Funke Ogunjobi. Thanks to you for sharing such valuable wisdom. Remember, the understanding of the UK tax system is the beginning of wisdom. Thank you so much. And I'll also thank my co-hosts, Lou. I also thank another guest who is joining us, which is Joseph, for being here today. And thanks to the TouchPoint backroom team, the researchers, the social media team. Thank you so much. Thanks to the listeners that you come in and week out to listen to all these engaging conversations. And that concludes it for this week. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss the part 2 of this series, because we've not talked about the tax system. How do you manage your tax? How do you do your personal financing, the retirement? What are your financial rights? I'm sure you don't want to miss that. And until then, remember, let's join in on votes uniquely. And you need to run your race with grace, because it is within the race that grace finds its expression. I've been your host, Tayo Oweye, and join me for the next episode, which is a part 2 of this, on TouchPoint with Tayo. Until then, have a good night rest. Thank you.
Okay.